Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale. Today, we have another great show for you all. Once again, I don't know what it has been about this news week, but there's been so much to talk about. I had more stories on the docket today than we're actually going to be covering. I had cut a few, but I'm so excited to talk about all this information with you that we're learning. For some reason, like I said, I woke up on Monday. I felt like, man, this is going to be a busy news day. And I was right on Monday. I woke up today and I was like, man, this is going to be a busy news day. I was right again today. We have so much to cover. But before all that, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing good. I know I am. So this has been an interesting week in the news cycle, but please let me know how you're doing. Send me a message, tweet at me, whatever it is. Let me know how things are been. Leave a comment on this. I read all of them. And make sure to follow me on X, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, all the platforms. TikTok, we're on there as well, at Homo18, at The Spin Cycle, at Spin Cycle Live, all the platforms. Go look us up. Give us a follow on all of them. It really helps all of us out. But with that, let's get into our very first story of the day. It actually has a lot to do with X itself, the platform that we are streaming on right now. Let's go ahead and pull this screen up for you all. So this comes from the Post-Millennial. So, Linda Yaccarino I guess it's how you pronounce her name, and I just opened another tab right here. I swear, I love the Post-Millennial. I think they make great content, but the ads on their site are kind of ridiculous. All right, so bear with me. So, Linda Yaccarino announced her resignation as CEO of X on Wednesday, stepping down after 2 years at the helm of the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. She came aboard after Elon Musk bought the platform and remade it into the social media space dedicated to free speech. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hold on. In a post shared to the website, Yaccarino thanked Elon Musk for the opportunity to work and lead the platform, pointed to goals like protecting free speech, turning the company around, and transforming X into the everything app. I have some comments about that. Yaccarino did not give any specific reason for her departure, and this article goes on to talk about Grok for a while, which I don't care to get into. So let's talk about it. Am I happy with how X has functioned over the past, couple years? Absolutely, I am. I think that it's a fairly good app. I really enjoy using it a lot. I've grown quite a following on it. I appreciate that they're taking free speech somewhat seriously, although I will say, I do keep seeing time and time again people on the platform saying stuff that is getting censored that should not be getting censored. I myself have said several things that have gotten myself censored on X, and it's led to me being a little bit less vocal on certain things because I know how the platform is going to react to it. And I found that when you get a hit where you get censored, your impression rate just tanks into the ground. And mine's been doing really good recently, so I don't care to really mess that up. But I will just say that I have said certain things that, as a gay man, I should be allowed to say, frankly. I think that everyone should be allowed to say it, but me in particular, that has certainly gotten me censored in the past. If you go and look through some of my older tweets, I usually tweet out a screenshot of what got censored on the platform, which I think is the funniest thing, is you can share a screenshot that has a phrase in it that will get you censored on X, but you can't just tweet it, which is like, what's really the point then, right? Should I just screenshot my tweets then? Just saying. Turning X into the everything app, I think I'm a little bit neutral. I like the live streaming function on X. I think that's really nice. I like that I have an audience on X, and I like that I can live stream directly to you all like I'm doing right now. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of having like TV shows and stuff on X. So I talked about on the show a few months ago when The Art of the Surge came out, which is the docu-series on the 2024 Trump presidential campaign, which you should all go and watch, at least the first season. The first season is free on X to watch it. No, I'm criticizing the fact that they have it on there, but it is free on X if you want to go and watch the second season. You would pay for, but I think it's worth paying for. It's a solid program. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of the long form content being posted on X. This isn't YouTube, and I think that that Twitter X is taking the perspective that they can be everything they want to be, such as being YouTube, when that's just not really the reality. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm fairly happy. I think that they could make the censorship thing a little bit better to deal with. I'm also not the biggest fan of people being verified on X who don't have a real profile photo. Like the verification badge on X is just turned into anyone who pays for X Premium, which I think kind of defeats the purpose of it. So I'm happy to pay for X Premium, but I don't like the fact that they are now allowing the verified badge to be for people who are spam accounts or are impersonating someone or are you're using an AI photo for your account, stuff like that. Like I don't like that. Like I have my real face on X. I'm ID verified with X. I had to show my actual government driver's license to be ID verified. And I had to do that to get monetization. So why are you allowing people to get a check mark on there? Because what a lot of accounts have done, and I'll keep it short, is so for instance with Charlie Kirk, they have taken Charlie Kirk's profile photo and his name and a portion of his handle, and they have the verified mark next to it. And you think it's actually Charlie Kirk. The only way to know that's not Charlie Kirk is by either physically tapping on the profile or knowing that he is affiliated with the Turning Point USA branding. So he has a little like Turning Point USA logo next to his name. Which then to really know if someone is actually authentic who they say they are, you either have to go and look at their actual profile, and a lot of these spam accounts do have a significant amount of followers, which can make it really confusing for some people, or seeing that they're verified with the actual organization that they're a part of, which I just think just completely defeats the purpose. So if I were to change anything about X, I would change the verification requirements. I would say you have to have a real photo of yourself to be verified, but that's just my opinion. But I'm happy with a lot of other things. I really am. I like the longer form tweets. I think those are nice sometimes. I like the way that the algorithm had changed for the most part. So I'm a fan of it. So yeah, I think that she's done a mostly good job as CEO, but I think there are still things to be improved upon, and we'll be sure to report when X gets a new CEO and what they have to say about the platform. But with that, let's go and move on to our next story. This comes from The Independent. So there's going to be a new Barbie doll coming out. So Barbie launches the first doll with type 1 diabetes that comes with pink glucose monitor. So Kate Moss's daughter, Lily Moss, is a really big fan of this. So she says the launch of the first Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes is surreal. The 22-year-old, who's also a model and has diabetes, was also presented with a one-off Barbie doll of herself during the launch, which comes after the release of deaf, blind, and Down syndrome versions of the doll from the toy manufacturer Mattel. Quote, I think to have a Barbie doll that looks like me with type 1 diabetes is completely surreal and makes me very proud of the ability to represent this community, she said. Quote, I get so many messages every day about how I've helped someone be less insecure or help them be more proud of their diabetes patch, and to also be able to represent the community in this way is very exciting and special. So, quote, the accessories the Barbie has are a blood glucose monitor and an insulin pump, and they're very important because they keep me alive and they make living life with type 1 diabetes much smoother and more practical. The diabetes doll, which will be released on Wednesday and priced at £13.99, wears a blue polka dot top and matching skirt as the color is used for global symbols that represent diabetes awareness. So here's the midsection of the doll and the glucose pump, and then the patch on her arm. Barbie partnered with Breakthrough T1D, formerly JDRF, a type 1 diabetes research and advocacy organization, for the doll, with Mattel UK donating £20,000 to the charity on behalf of Moss. Alright, so here's my thoughts. So here's the doll, by the way. I guess Lily Moss is this one on the right here, and then this is just the standard doll that's coming out. I have mixed feelings about the whole Barbie doll situation. I know that we're getting into some very antiquated territory in this show, and we have questions of does this really matter? But I think the broader cultural issue of this doll really does matter, in that every single minor part of us is somehow becoming something that we must have pride and be proud over, right? Which I think is completely ridiculous in my opinion. So for example, there's the lesbian Barbie dolls out there, right? There's the gay Barbie dolls. There's the trans Barbie dolls. I mean, I'm sure that they exist out there. I don't know if Mattel actually makes them, but there's all these dolls that have to do with gender identity. And now we have a diabetes Barbie doll. We have a deaf Barbie doll. We have a blind Barbie doll. We have a Down syndrome Barbie doll. We have a Barbie doll that has to do with every single minor part of your personality. When really the only part of your personality that you should be proud of is what makes you on the inside, right? Being proud of the fact that you're a good person, that you give back to society, that you live a life every day of fulfillment, that you work hard every day to achieve your dreams, right? That should be what we feel proud of. And Barbie represents all of that for everyone, right? Barbie is such a great toy for people because Barbie can be anything, right? If you have a Barbie doll, you can have a deaf Barbie doll, right? You can use your imagination. That's what's so great about it, is Barbie can be anyone you want her to be. And I think that turning this brand and then just toys and culture in general into this massive amalgamation of, oh, we have to be proud of everything. No, you don't. You don't have to be proud of everything that you have. You can be confident in what you have. You can be happy with the way that you are. But we don't need to have a toy that has to do with every single minor thing that someone has in their life. And of course, type 1 diabetes is not necessarily a minor thing that people deal with, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Next, we're going to start getting the, this is autism Barbie. This is ADHD Barbie. This is dyslexic Barbie, right? We're going to get a subculture of a subculture of every type of thing out there that someone can possibly have. We're going to get food allergy Barbie, right? And it's just that I don't personally feel like that's very empowering for people to have around them. So for me, for example, right, I deal with a lot of food allergies. If someone made a doll when I was younger that was, oh, this is food allergy Barbie, that would not be anything that would have interested me as a child. That would have been like, okay, any Barbie can be food allergy Barbie. Why do we have to have a specific one for that? Same thing with ADHD. We don't need to have an ADHD Barbie. So just saying, I don't know. So I think that we've known for quite a while the Mattel brand is woke, the Barbie brand is woke, and I think this just leads even more into that. I mean, good for Barbie or good for Mattel for donating £20,000 to type 1 diabetes research. I mean, that's great. They should be doing that. But I don't know. This would not have been anything that would have interested me had I been a child with type 1 diabetes. Just as a gay Barbie doll wouldn't have interested me as a child playing with Barbie. I think this is nothing more than adults projecting what kids should be proud of. You should just let kids be kids. You should let kids use their imagination, right? You don't have to have everything in your life surround an illness that you might have, is all I'm saying. So let kids use their imagination. And if they want to use their imagination to have type 1 diabetes Barbie, then let them use it. But we don't need to have a whole Barbie doll that's dedicated to this. Just saying. So I don't know. If you disagree, tweet at me. Let me know why. So anyways, moving on. Let's get into some real news now. Right, we got past the cultural stuff. Phew, but I had to talk about it. I had to talk about it. All right. So waiting from Fox News. So the Trump administration is suing California over alleged Title IX violations. So the Trump administration on Wednesday announced it will sue the California Department of Education, CDE, and California Interscholastic Federation, CIF, over Title IX violations. The Trump administration is asking for an injunction of the state's policy allowing males to compete against females in sports, an issue that reached a fever pitch earlier this year when a transgender male won multiple events in girls' track and field competitions. I believe that we covered it on the show. So A.B. Hernandez, a transgender student at Europa Valley High School, poses for photos of her medals at the California High School Track and Field Championships in Clovis, California on Saturday. So there's that photo for you. Yeah. Great. California's policies, quote, eviscerate equal athletic opportunities for girls. They also require girls to share intimate spaces, such as locker rooms, with boys, causing a hostile educational environment that denies girl educational opportunities, the lawsuit said. Quote, the results of these illegal policies are stark. Girls are displaced from podiums, denied awards, and miss out on critical visibility for college scholarships and recognition. On Tuesday, Governor Gavin Newsom was asked again about his thoughts on transgender athletes competing in girls and women's sports. Quote, I struggle with the issue of fairness when it came to sports, he said at an event in South Carolina. And we tried to figure out a couple of years ago, and we were unsuccessful, and we struggled with that recently. Quote, and my position is that I don't think it's fair, but I also think it's demeaning to talk down to people and to belittle the trans community. I don't like the way the right wing talks about the trans community. These people just want to survive. God. So ridiculous. So, good. The Trump administration should absolutely sue California. They're in violation of Title IX. It's completely ridiculous that we send federal tax dollars to their state to help them enable boys to compete against girls in sports when they have an innate biological difference in them. And, yeah, I have no issue with it whatsoever. I'm so sick and tired of this whole perspective that if we don't give in to anything that a trans person says or wants, somehow we are posing a risk to them, or they are somehow in danger. That this is just a community that's just trying to survive. They're just trying to exist in the world. They're just trying to survive, as Gavin Newsom would say. It's so ridiculous. So, no, you do not get to compete against women when you have testosterone running through your system, when you have a different chromosomal set than a biological woman does, when you have innate biological differences than them. It's just as simple as that. You talk about struggling with the issue of fairness. It's perfectly fair to have boys compete against boys and girls compete against girls. That's how we have done this for literally all of human history, right? We've known for all of human history until about 5 minutes ago that it's unfair for men to compete against women in any sort of physical opportunity, physical competition, right? And that's not a hit on women whatsoever. In fact, that's saying to women that you deserve the right to compete against people who are of your own gender. That's empowering to women to say that they deserve to play fairly in the sport that they've worked all their life in, right? The left always takes perspective of if you say that trans students can't compete if you take the perspective that boys cannot compete against girls in sports, then you're saying that women are not good enough to compete against them. I'm absolutely not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that it's just unfair. There's just an innate biological difference that doesn't have anything to do with being, I mean, I guess it does have everything to do with being a man or a woman, but it doesn't have anything to do with saying that you're less than because you are a woman. It says that we just have different bodies. We just function differently, right? It's just as simple as that. So yeah, it's I think it's completely unfair, and I completely disagree with what the governor says. And he said nothing. He had a complete nothing burger of a sentence. He says that my position is I don't think it's fair for boys to compete against girls, right? So that's his position. I think it's fair, but I also don't have a solution for it. So either you don't think it's fair or you do. This is not this huge gray zone of an issue. Either you think it's right for a biological male to compete against a biological female, or you don't. I don't think it's fair at all, right? The governor says it's not fair, but apparently in his eyes it actually is, because he signed laws in place that allow this to happen. So California, just saying, this guy's term limit in 2026. You have the opportunity to elect someone who's actually going to do good things for the state. There's actually some moderate Democrats running for California, right? You do not have to elect Kamala Harris, right? You do not have to elect some radical to run the state. You can still elect a Democrat, but pick someone at least who's a little bit more moderate, right? But you won't. Because California is this huge leftist bastion of a state that just loves to be the craziest in the country. They're constantly competing with New York and Illinois for who can be the most radical. All right, let's go move on to our next story. So this is from the Daily Wire. So Trump wins at SCOTUS again. Court says administration can resume mass layoffs of federal workers. The U.S. Supreme Court cleared the way on Tuesday for President Donald Trump to resume his plans to cut the federal workforce and restructure agencies, a key promise he made on the campaign trail to hack away at the size of the federal government. The justices lifted San Francisco-based U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston's May 22nd order that had blocked large-scale federal layoffs, called reductions in force, affecting potentially hundreds of thousands of jobs, while litigation in the case proceeded. Trump in February announced, quote, a critical transformation of the federal bureaucracy in an executive order directing agencies to prepare for a government overhaul aimed at significantly reducing the federal workforce and gutting offices and programs opposed by the administration. Workforce reductions were planned at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Commerce, Health and Human Services, State, Treasury, Veterans Affairs, and more than a dozen other agencies. Supreme Court, in a brief unsigned order, said Trump's administration was likely to succeed on its argument that the executive order and a memorandum implementing his order were lawful. The court said it was not assessing the legality of any specific plans for layoffs at federal agencies. The judge blocked the agencies from carrying out mass layoffs and limited their ability to cut or overhaul federal programs. Ilston also ordered the reinstatement of workers who had lost their jobs, though she delayed implementing the portion of her ruling while the appeals process plays out. Ilston's ruling was the broadest of its kind against the government overhaul being pushed by Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency, a key player in the Republican president's drive to slash the federal workforce. So this is great. The president is the chief executive officer of the United States government. He has the right to, he's the chief executive. He has the right to he's the commander in chief. He has the right to decide who gets to work in the government, who doesn't, right? If the president of the United States cannot decide what the government should look like, then who does, right? Someone has to. Someone always has to be accountable. We elect the president to be accountable for the federal government's actions. And the president feels that the federal government would function better with less people working in it, that's what the president should be able to do. So absolutely 100% agree with this ruling. This is great. And I'm glad to see win after win after win coming for the president. What is not a win, in my opinion, is our next story. So, Donald Trump's Patriot missile plan for Ukraine. So, President Trump's decision Monday to send defensive weapons to Ukraine followed days of consultations with aides and other world leaders about where those arms would actually come from. The Trump administration had paused shipments of some arms to Ukraine, including Patriot missile interceptors. Now, the desperately needed weapons are on the way, but Trump is also seeking alternative solutions, including pressing Germany to send its own Patriot battery. Quote, at President Trump's direction, the Department of Defense will send additional defense weapons to Ukraine to ensure the Ukrainians can defend themselves while we work to secure a lasting peace, the Pentagon said later Monday night. Still, Trump and his team are reluctant to part with many Patriot interceptors. He wants the Europeans to send more of their own money and materials as well. Trump isn't just concerned about stockpiles. He's told confidants that, quote, this isn't my war, but it will be if he starts sending arms to Ukraine. So, I'm just concerned about this the way that I would be concerned about us sending weapons and to any country in particular. This war was supposed to be over by now, in my opinion. This war has gone on for far too long. This war was told to us it would be over on day one of the Trump administration. We're now getting into mid-July territory, and it's still going on with no end in sight. I try not to talk about Ukraine too much. I try not to talk about what's happening in Israel right now too much, just because there really isn't all that much new information. But the fact of the matter is, we're still sitting here waiting for this war to be over, and it's not. I mean, I think it's completely ridiculous that we are even still sending aid from the United States. I'm not necessarily opposed to sending our weapon systems over to help Ukraine out, but I'd like another country to flip the bill for it. So, hey, Germany, if you don't want to send weapons, we'll send weapons, but why don't you send us a check for $100 million or whatever it costs for these weapons that we're sending over there, right? Or, hey, European Union, why don't you get together and flip the bill for this? This war affects all of you. This war is something that all of you are concerned about. This war is happening to a country that borders several European countries. This would be a big deal if Russia gained a whole bunch of territory in Ukraine. You're against Russia just as much as we are, so why don't you flip the bill? Why don't you send some weapons over there? I think that Trump could be a little bit more iron-fisted about his demands for what Europe does, and if Europe doesn't want to do it, then sorry. End of the story. It's not exactly like Ukraine is this huge ally of ours that helps us out all the time constantly. I get why we're so involved in Israel. Israel's a huge ally of the United States. It would be a big deal if Israel all of a sudden came under rule of some terrorist state, and they're the only democracy in the Middle East. They have several strategic U.S. bases there that help us protect against bombings from the Middle East on our citizens. So I get why we're so involved in that, but not a fan of this. Not a fan of it. So I'm not a fan of it, not so much that I don't want the United States to help out. I'm more a fan of it as I don't want my tax dollars go into this anymore. It's been long enough, So, with that is all I have to say today. We'll be back here on Friday with another great episode of Spin Cycle Live. We will have so much to talk about then as well. But, tweet at me. Let me know what you think of all these stories. If you missed the show day, you can go rewatch it on YouTube, Rumble. You can go scroll through my X feed, find all that on there. Comment on my posts, send me a message, tweet at me. Let me know what you think of the show. Make sure you share with friends. Let people know I have the best opinions on the internet. Nathan Hale, best opinions on the internet, right here. This guy. You want to tune in and see this show. I know you do, right? Tell all your friends and family about how great the show is. But with that, I have been Nathan Hale. This has been Spin Cycle Live. Peace out. Bye.